Welcome back to the Real Bio Protocol. Cold open $11,800 every single month. That's what Brian Johnson, the man you know as Liver King, admitted to spending on anabolic steroids while telling you that eating raw testicles and sleeping on wooden floors was the secret to his physique. And when that leaked email hit the internet in December 2022, everyone did exactly what you'd expect. They called him a fraud, a liar, a con artist who exploited desperate men looking for answers. And honestly, they weren't wrong. He lied, point blank. But here's what nobody, and I mean nobody, bothered to investigate. While the entire fitness industry was busy dunking on this guy for entertainment, they completely ignored a disturbing question. Why did his protocol actually work for thousands of people who never touched a needle? Because it did. The comment sections were flooded with men reporting increased energy, better sleep, improved libido, and these weren't guys on testosterone replacement therapy. These were normal men taking desiccated organ supplements and following ancestral eating principles. So either thousands of people experienced a collective placebo effect, or there was something buried in that protocol that the steroid scandal completely overshadowed. Something the supplement industry really doesn't want you understanding. Because if it works, it threatens a $60 billion market built on isolated compounds and synthetic vitamins. Today, we're extracting the science from the scandal. And what we found changes everything. ACT1, the problem? Let's get something straight before we go any further. The modern supplement industry is one of the greatest magic tricks ever performed on the American public. They've convinced you that nutrition can be reduced to isolated molecules. Vitamin C from a lab, synthetic B12, magnesium oxide that your body absorbs at 11% efficiency. You walk into a store and you see rows upon rows of bottles promising everything from enhanced cognition to superhuman testosterone levels. And most of it, I'm talking 80 to 90% of it, does absolutely nothing. A 2015 study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that supplements sent over 23,000 people to emergency rooms every year. Not because they were dangerous, but because people were taking massive doses of isolated compounds their bodies couldn't process. The fitness industry made it worse. They told you that you needed 40 grams of protein powder after every workout, that you needed BCAAs even though whole protein sources already contained them, that you needed pre-workout stimulants to function in a gym. Meanwhile, human beings built the pyramids, conquered continents, and developed every major civilization in history without a single scoop of anything. They ate animals. The whole animal, nose to tail, organs included. And for some reason we decided that was primitive, that we evolved past that modern science had figured out a better way. But here's the problem with that logic. Humans didn't change. Our genome is virtually identical to humans living 15,000 years ago. What changed was our food supply. What changed was that we started throwing away the most nutrient-dense parts of the animal and keeping only the muscle meat. You know what muscle meat is? It's basically biological building blocks with relatively low micronutrient density. You know what liver is? The most nutrient-dense food on the planet Earth. And I'm not being hyperbolic. Per calorie, beef liver contains more bioavailable vitamins and minerals than any fruit, any vegetable, any nut, any seed. Yet we feed it to dogs, or throw it away, while spending hundreds of dollars a month on synthetic vitamins that our bodies barely recognize. This is the world Liver King stepped into. A world of desperate men with declining testosterone. And yes, male testosterone levels have dropped roughly 1% per year since the 1980s, according to a study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology, looking for answers. And the mainstream gave them nothing. Doctors told them declining hormones were normal. The fitness industry sold them overpriced powders, and pharmaceutical companies waited patiently for them to get desperate enough for TRT prescriptions. Into that void walked a shirtless maniac eating raw liver on Instagram. And even though he was a liar, he accidentally pointed millions of people towards something real. ACT2, the hidden truth. Here's what the fitness influencers missed while they were celebrating Liver King's downfall. The Ancestral supplement stack, the organ-based protocol he promoted, has actual scientific backing that exists completely independent of his steroid use. Let's start with desiccated liver supplements. These are literally freeze-dried or vacuum-dried beef liver in capsule form. Old-school bodybuilders from the 1950s swore by them. Vince Gironda, the trainer who shaped the physiques of the golden era, had his athletes consuming up to 60 desiccated liver tablets per day. And this was decades before steroids became widespread in bodybuilding. A 1975 study conducted by researcher B.H. Ershoff demonstrated something remarkable. Rats fed desiccated liver were able to swim in cold water nearly 3 times longer than control groups before exhaustion. The control group averaged 13 minutes. The liver group averaged 2 hours. That's not a marginal improvement. That's a completely different category of performance. Now you might say, that's rats, not humans. Fair point. But we also have decades of anecdotal evidence from athletes combined with the known nutritional profile of liver itself. Beef liver contains the most bioavailable form of vitamin A, retinol, not beta-carotene that your body has to convert. It contains B12 in amounts that make supplements look like a joke. A single serving contains over 800% of your daily value. It contains copper, which most Americans are deficient in. It contains choline, which is critical for brain function and liver health itself. It contains a compound called cytochrome P450 enzymes that support your body's detoxification pathways. It contains CoQ10, which is essential for mitochondrial energy production. And here's the part that really matters. It contains all of these in their natural ratios and matrices, not isolated, not synthetic, bound together in the same biological configuration that your body evolved to recognize over hundreds of thousands of years. This isn't alternative medicine. This is how humans ate for the vast majority of our existence. We only stopped eating organs in the last 100 years. The same 100 years that saw explosive growth in chronic disease, metabolic dysfunction, and hormonal collapse. Coincidence? Maybe. But the research suggests otherwise. A 2019 paper in the journal Nutrients examined the micronutrient profile of nose-to-tail eating versus standard Western diets. The results were stark. The ancestral eating pattern provided significantly higher levels of zinc, selenium, vitamin K2, and other compounds directly linked to hormonal health. You know what happens when you're deficient in zinc? Your testosterone production tanks. Your immune system weakens, your wound healing slows. And most American men eating standard diets are not getting enough zinc. They're certainly not getting it in bioavailable form. This is the buried truth. Liver King was taking steroids, yes, but the protocol he promoted, eating organs, prioritizing nutrient density, avoiding processed foods, this protocol addresses fundamental deficiencies that most modern men don't even know they have. ACT3, the mechanism. Let's get into the biology because this is where it gets fascinating. Your body doesn't recognize isolated nutrients the same way it recognizes nutrients bound in whole food matrices. This concept is called food synergy, and it's been documented in peer-reviewed research for decades. A 2009 paper in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition explained that nutrients in whole foods work together, often enhancing each other's absorption or biological activity. Isolate them, and you lose those synergistic effects, sometimes completely. Here's a perfect example. Vitamin A and vitamin D are both fat-soluble vitamins. They share cellular receptor pathways. When you consume them together in the ratios found in animal foods, they balance each other's effects. Vitamin A prevents vitamin D toxicity. Vitamin D enhances vitamin A's immune functions. They're designed to work together. But what do most supplements do? They give you vitamin D3 in isolation because someone did a study showing vitamin D deficiency is common. Now you have millions of people megadosing isolated D3 without adequate vitamin A to balance it. And then they wonder why they still feel terrible. Beef liver solves this problem automatically. It contains both vitamins in near-perfect ancestral ratios. Your body doesn't have to guess. It receives the complete biological package. Now let's talk about something even more interesting, glandular therapy. This is the principle that consuming animal organs supports the corresponding organs in your own body. Sounds like folk medicine, right? Here's the thing. There's actual science here. Animal organs contain organ-specific peptides, growth factors, and cellular building blocks. When you consume desiccated thyroid, for example, you're consuming actual thyroid hormones and thyroid-specific proteins. This is why desiccated thyroid preparations were used medically for decades before synthetic thyroid hormones existed. The same logic applies to other organs. Desiccated heart contains CoQ10 and heart-specific peptides. Desiccated kidney contains kidney-specific proteins that may support renal function. Desiccated testicle, yes, people actually take this, contains the cellular machinery involved in testosterone production. Now I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying that eating testicles will blast your testosterone to superphysiological levels. That's the lie Liver King told. But consuming organ-specific nutrients may support baseline function of those organs. It may help correct deficiencies that standard diets create, and for men whose testosterone is low because of poor nutrition, chronic inflammation, or micronutrient deficiencies, that support might be exactly what they need. The other mechanism we need to discuss is gut health. Organ meats are rich in glycine, collagen precursors, and compounds that support gut barrier integrity. A 2017 study in Alimentary Pharmacology and Therapeutics demonstrated that increased intestinal permeability, leaky gut, was associated with systemic inflammation and hormonal disruption. Healing the gut can downstream improve virtually every other system in the body, including hormone production. This creates a virtuous cycle. You eat organs, you flood your system with bioavailable nutrients. Those nutrients support gut healing and reduce inflammation. Reduced inflammation improves hormonal signaling. Improved hormonal signaling gives you more energy to train. Training further optimizes hormone production. Suddenly you feel like a different person. And no, you're not on steroids. You just stopped starving your body of what it actually needs. ACT4 real-world application. So what does this actually mean for you? How do you implement this without becoming a shirtless Instagram character or spending $12,000 a month on anything? Let's get practical. Step 1. Start eating liver. Real liver. Once or twice per week. I know it sounds extreme to modern sensibilities, but humans ate organ meats for thousands of generations. Your great-great-grandmother probably ate liver regularly. It was considered a health food, not a fear food. You can disguise it in ground beef. You can make pâté. You can cut it into small pieces and freeze them, then swallow them like pills if you really can't stand the taste. There are options. If you absolutely cannot stomach eating liver, then desiccated organ supplements are your second choice. Look for products that are grass-fed, grass-finished, and ideally third-party tested for purity. The freeze-drying process preserves the vast majority of nutrients while eliminating the taste barrier. A standard protocol would be 3 to 6 grams of desiccated liver daily. Some people take more. Start low, assess your response, and adjust. Step 2. Consider a full organ complex. Companies now sell blends that include liver, heart, kidney, spleen, and pancreas. This gives you a spectrum of organ-specific nutrients rather than just liver alone. The Ancestral eating pattern included all organs, not just one. Step 3, and this is crucial, fix the rest of your diet first. Organ supplements are not magic pills that override a trash diet. If you're eating seed oils, processed carbohydrates, and artificial ingredients all day, adding liver capsules won't save you. Remove the garbage. Build a foundation of whole animal foods, vegetables, fruits, and quality fats. Then layer organs on top. Step 4. Prioritize sleep and manage stress. Liver King actually got this part right, even if his methods were theatrical. Sleep is when your body produces the majority of its testosterone and growth hormone. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which directly suppresses testosterone production. You cannot supplement your way out of 4 hours of sleep and constant anxiety. Step 5. Test your levels. Get blood work. Know your baseline testosterone, free testosterone, vitamin D, B12, ferritin, and zinc levels before you start anything. Then retest after 90 days. This is how you move from bro science to actual data. You track inputs and outputs. You verify that what you're doing actually works for your body, not a body on Instagram. Yours. Step 6. Be patient. This is not TRT. You're not going to feel dramatically different in a week. You're correcting years of nutritional deficiency and metabolic dysfunction. That takes months, sometimes longer. The men who report the best results from ancestral eating protocols are the ones who commit for 6 months to a year. They're not looking for quick fixes. They're rebuilding their bodies from the foundation up. ACT5. The bigger picture. Here's why this matters beyond just you and your hormone levels. We're witnessing a controlled demolition of male health. Testosterone levels have been declining for 40 years. Sperm counts have dropped over 50% since the 1970s. Depression, anxiety, and metabolic disease are at all-time highs, and the institutions that should be addressing this are doing the opposite. The food industry profits when you eat their processed products. The pharmaceutical industry profits when you get sick enough to need their drugs. The supplement industry profits when you buy their isolated compounds that do nothing. None of them profit when you eat whole foods that your body actually recognizes. None of them profit when you fix the root cause instead of managing symptoms. This is why the Liver King scandal was so convenient for them. It let everyone dismiss ancestral health principles as the ravings of a steroid-using con man. It let the industry say, "See, this whole organ meat thing is just a scam, case closed. Back to your protein powder and multivitamins." But the truth doesn't care about convenience. The truth is that humans evolved eating whole animals. The truth is that organ meats contain nutrients we cannot get anywhere else. The truth is that modern diets are deficient in ways that directly cause the health problems we're experiencing. Liver King lied about his steroid use. That is undeniable, but the principles he accidentally popularized, eating organs, prioritizing nutrient density, moving your body, getting sunlight, sleeping deeply, these are not lies. These are biological truths that predate him by 100,000 years. The question is whether you'll let his personal failure blind you to the science, or whether you'll extract what actually works and leave the rest behind. That's always been your choice. They just don't want you making it with full information. The science is out there. They just don't want you finding it. That's why we're here. This is the real bioprotocol.